here. This one's moving, but it's a bit cheaper. SPR. Okay, so we have 2 penny stocks moving today. Unfortunately, I'm not really interested in trading either of these. So we'll just have to see if anything actually comes out at the 7 o'clock hour. If any UP. Okay, this has 7 o'clock news. Low float too. Looks like a bit of a rug here, though. Could just be that they failed their biotech test or whatever they were testing. So it could just be that. Right, their phase trial, whatever number. Yeah, this is like kind of just a nothing burger press release. Interestingly, though, GLTO and MOVE are both holding up relatively well. GLTO in particular looking very strong. Right, we've had this really nice ascending pattern ever since yesterday. Clear resistance here at 25, 24. Good morning, Quantex. Good morning. Just a quick little refresher. Today is Veterans Day, so a lot of banks are closed and settlement for cash accounts is not happening. So I'm going to have less capital to trade with today, which is probably for the best, if I'm being honest. After what happened yesterday, stepping back a bit today, so I'm still here, of course, but yeah, it's probably for the best, honestly. I have a little bit less exposure today, particularly. I guess I should actually update this. Should update my new spreadsheet for the day, so I have this ready. It's water under the bridge from yesterday now. Yeah, we'll see if anything comes up here. Because, like, right now, it's very weird. Because, let me put these on here real quick. Because, like, as far as yesterday, the 2 main movers from yesterday are still holding up, right? Moves holding holding up around 100%, maybe around 80%. And GLTO is doing phenomenal, right? We're still up around 300, 350%. But as far as actual gappers today, right? The biggest gapper I see is CYCU, and it's only up 29%. And as far as actual movers go, we had 2 penny stocks, MSPR, and I don't remember the other one. But yeah, we had 2 penny stocks moving this morning at the 7 a.m. mark. That's not really as impressive as I thought we'd see today. I mean, maybe it's because the banks are closed and things are a little bit slower. Yeah, we just have Body and MSPR right now, and both of them are penny stocks. I'm probably not going to touch either of them. Vero did end up rolling over. So this didn't hold up at all. We also had Loop yesterday. I'm assuming this one also just kind of died. Yeah, this one just kind of... I mean, this thing fell off a cliff. It actually gapped down. But yeah, as far as yesterday's movers go, it's still very impressive that they're holding up this high. If we see a low flow catalyst like one of these move, there could be good opportunity today. But it really depends. Really depends if we get those catalysts or not, I think. And it looks like, at least for 7 a.m., we're not getting it. But yeah, I hope you guys are all staying safe today. I'm surprised we already have 9 people here. That's kind of crazy to me. I just started the stream less than 10 minutes ago. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. Let's try to do better today. Yeah, I thought a lot more about my trade yesterday. It's unfortunate because it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Right, just to go back to the big loser that I had here. And not... Okay, there we go. So, if we go back to this here, it's a bit awkward, right? It looks worse than it was because I had a max loss, but the potential of this move really, I think, was fair, right? If I was trying to make $3, $4, $5 a share, and I lost about $2.50 a share, that's honestly reasonable. The problem is that I had to step up to the plate so aggressively right after exiting a cold market, so the max loss really doesn't sit well. At least in turn, I don't really mind having large loss days if I felt like I traded correctly in a market context, but at least for this challenge, I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't have been so aggressive, because it doesn't really set a good example when you exit a cold market straight into a max loss. So, and at least in terms of the challenge, I think that was a mistake by me. But yeah, I learned, and hopefully I can do better with that. And I'm going to do more of like a, kind of like a Ross Cameron approach where he looks to build before sizing up. You figure I hadn't really hit anything until that point, so taking a super aggressive setup with high risk, it's kind of on the edge of whether or not it's worth doing, at least in terms of getting small, consistent returns. But yeah, there's really nothing moving right now. It's just these two. I can mark them out just so we can watch them. Hold on, I thought this one was a penny stock. Was there a different one, similar name maybe? Yeah, there was MSPR. I thought there was another penny stock, but this wasn't a penny stock. It doesn't have live news, though. Okay, this changes things, at least. We also have SDRX. SRDX. Okay, what is this, a buyout? No, trading resumption. Okay, so this unhalted, but I don't actually see the news here. Unless this was the news. It says court denies FTC request for preliminary injunction to block deal. Okay, so there was a deal that was blocked and it's going through now. I mean, I don't know the context of the deal. Yeah, I don't know the context of the deal. I feel like anything I buy here would be a stab in the dark. It's interesting too, because like we had a gradual decline. I figure if there was some FDA thing. Well, no, it doesn't look like really anything changed. So it said on yesterday that there was a that the court had denied a request, or that denies request. Wasn't this the same thing? Yeah, this is not a new catalyst. This came out yesterday. So I have no idea why it's... I mean, it unhalted. Unfortunately, I don't understand the context of this enough. This doesn't really make sense to me, so I'm not going to touch this one, unfortunately. Okay, so BODI, have a pullback here. Higher volume, what's the float? I mean, decent float. Decent stairs outstanding. We have 7 million on Thinkorswim. Looks like about 7 million on Lightspeed too. The only problem is the news is a little old. Right, looks like it was an earnings report. And we also had this really weird flush. All right, 750 down to 550. Actually, very weird too. The volume was a bit lower, right, relative to the volume we're seeing now. NEBX making some violent moves. It's a bit too pricey for me, I think. Some interesting volume, interesting price action, but I don't think I can touch it. It's moving too much and it's too expensive. I mean, this range here looks like it could be a good dip buy opportunity. All right, we had some support here. Looks like it consolidated here. So maybe like 630s, 640s could be a good buy point if we break down to there. The volume's been somewhat high on all of this pullback. NBIL doing something similar. Right, this similar breakdown, recovery, price action. This is probably based on some kind of news catalysts across the board. The Beachbody Company. What was the other one? I don't see it anymore. It already came off. But yeah, these ones are still kind of out of my range. Just keep an eye on body for now, I think. And we're probably just waiting for the half hour. See if anything comes out. I still am more optimistic to buy a low float stock popping on decent news. The fact that GLTO and Move are holding up tells me that shorts are going to be afraid to go short on something low float anyway. Okay, so we're seeing this break down a bit. Really would want to buy a further breakdown, I think. If we even see it. I'm a bit worried to buy here just because of this downward pressure having higher volume. I understand it's lower than these two candles, but this volume is still higher than this previous price action. That's a red flag to me. It is bouncing nice off of these levels, though. We're not seeing a clean breakdown. Also, the volume is lower on these two candles. GLTO looks like it's selling off a bit. Somewhat significant breakdown. Right, 250, 2250 to 1975. That's significant. So interestingly, it was right at 7 that this pop happened. And then just immediately after that, it's been selling off. So anyone really getting involved with this at 7 probably hasn't been doing well. His move's similar. Not really. Move's kind of dead, at least in terms of volume. Okay, we're seeing more of a breakdown. I still don't want to buy yet. I want to see a little more. VCIG is breaking out. I'm going to keep body on watch as well. I'm going to switch over. Okay, no news on this move. A little bit concerning to me. Volume's decent, and we did break the high. I'm just worried the lack of a news catalyst is going to hurt this. We're around 250, 260. That would put us around here. It's a little bit of resistance, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, this could just be like a minor short squeeze or something, because we did have this yesterday. There was no news on this either. So this entire play was basically just a no news catalyst. This breakdown has been on lower volume. It's only 30 seconds into the candle, though. Even on that breakdown, it was on lower volume, too. Some attempted to bounce here. This looks bullish, at least the chart's set up, but I'm still worried about that lack of a catalyst. This would be basically a pure short squeeze play, I think. It did end up breaking out. The chart setup did look good, right? On this pullback, there was low selling pressure. But just the way this thing has been a death spiral stock and no news catalyst, I just thought this was too high risk. All right, we got 2 minutes till the half hour. This was clean volume on this breakout. It was holding near the highs. This candle is a bit interesting. It was high volume, but it really just consolidated here like there was a seller here around 280. I would have expected this candle to go up a bit more on this kind of volume. I think there might have been a seller at 280. Like, let price pop above it for just a second and bring it back. Hard to say how big the seller was, though. Body's still slowly bleeding back down. If I can just jump back to that real quick. We had like a mini spike, but it's rolled back over. Still low volume, right? This is all still lower volume. Couldn't buy VCIG on Thinkorswim. Yeah, Thinkorswim has been changing how they do small caps. They've been restricting them more, so you can't trade as many. They were finding that day traders were hard to track data from. They call it toxic order flow. So they've been doing a whole bunch of ways to try and stop people from day trading on Thinkorswim. They've been outright just getting rid of people from the platform. They've been restricting the stocks you can trade. So they've been proactively trying to limit the exposure that they have to small caps, or rather to small cap momentum traders. Yeah, I don't know if I want to touch this. Another clean 1 minute setup, higher volume. We pushed back to that 280 or so level. Watching the selling pressure here, seeing how this acts around this level. The price should be going up for how small the ask is looking. I'm not seeing any large sellers here. Maybe a hidden seller. Around 280, 281, 282. Because I'm not really seeing it. Body's still breaking down. Might be time to take a stab at this soon. This volume was a bit higher though. Okay, we have Xena. Alright, so we actually have a news catalyst here, it looks like. Okay, just an earnings report, it looks like. 32 million shares. Not quite the shares outstanding I would want to see. Also, it definitely looks like there was a hidden seller at 280 level on VCIG. Alright, it's rejected hard off of that level now. And on the level 2, despite all the high volume, there was no sellers on the level 2 ask. So I suspect there was some kind of seller there. I still have relatively high volume here. This one does still move though, right? It was at $7 just a couple weeks ago. Okay, we're having some volume come through. Moderate amount. Okay, more volume. Bit higher volume that I would have liked to see. Interesting how high the volume has been on all of this. Been fairly high. If this does make another leg up, the question really is how does it react around 280's level? Xena did end up breaking back out. So this selling pressure was high, but it's not as high as this volume was. ENGN is also moving on news. So this one just completely rolled over. And then it's just getting some life back here. I don't like how low the volume is, though. Yeah, and it's a 51 million share outstanding stock. Not a big fan of that. Xena, we are seeing a pullback. It's on lower volume. Doing half size to start. This pullback was also on lower volume, and it seems like it was bouncing off this 136 level. Let's see if that realizes anything. VCIG looks like it's breaking down further. Nice breakout, but the volume's a bit low. Yeah, I won out. I would have stayed in there, but the volume on this spike felt a bit low. Not quite what I was looking for. It did seem like, though, as this pulled back, the lower volume, plus it looked like there was some kind of buyer here. The way it was bouncing. The plan was, if we saw a surge like this on higher volume, I was going to average up, but seeing how it popped on such light volume, I didn't trust it to hold. ENGN's also moving a bit more now. I'll check that out in a moment. AMGN. So this one's curling. Same problem though. The volume is a bit light. This last candle was more. This also had a higher shares outstanding. Yeah, this had 51 million shares. So higher shares, lower volume. Don't really know. Like even just the way this is moved, I don't know how much I trust this one. What is this company? It's a Canadian company. Xena does look like it's struggling, at least for the moment. It's holding higher, but it's not breaking out, and the volume dropped off a lot. ACIG looks like it still is just breaking down hard. Yeah, that it really looks clear now that there actually was indeed a seller up here. Curious why this is moving so much. I mean, maybe this catalyst is just that strong. Yeah, like we're starting to get more volume coming in now. Xena did end up breaking back down. So it looks like me taking the profit was at least reasonable. I just didn't like how Xena broke out on such light volume. Made me lose conviction. Right, like it's... This level, there must have been a seller. Well, no, that's not necessarily true, right? Because it popped up here on light volume. So perhaps this pop was just too aggressive for the volume. Yeah, there may not have necessarily been a hidden seller here. There just might not have been the momentum. Very aggressive selling all the way through 450 down, 430. I don't buy this. Unfortunately, the selling pressure is too high. Could be someone exiting. This is just kind of grinding higher. I might participate on this. Just take a try at it. Very clean breakthrough 10. Okay, so I caught the bounce at 10. We'll see if it actually holds here. No, it's struggling too much to hold 10. Basically a break-even trade. So if we saw this pull back to 10 and it held and then immediately curled back up, maybe 10, 50, 11 would have been possible. Yeah, this volume is quite high too here. This could just be a top. I still feel like a good setup. Sold 1 penny higher. So what did this break out to? This went to 10.16, so it did kind of break through 10. You could look for the 1 minute high here. This candle was kind of high volume. That was the problem. I'm worried there might be too much selling pressure. Does that mean the company's being sold? Typically, if it has a W after it, it just means warrants and GNW. So when something like this goes up, it just means that people who have warrants for the stock are getting value because the underlying went up, right? So because this is going up, anyone who holds a contract for this also has the price go up. So E and GNW is just warrants, usually. Like anytime it has like a W after the ticker, it's usually warrants. Okay, so it did end up getting back to the highs before what looks like a rug. Yeah, the reason I didn't want to get in for this 1 minute high was just because this candle, we had too much selling pressure. Although it's not ridiculous to get in here. I think I'll wait though. Or I didn't expect it to go all the way down to here. And the volume was actually a little bit light at the time. This isn't a terrible entry. I could have maybe taken that. I think it could be a little better though. All right, so we had a high volume red candle here, high volume red candle here. There's definitely people selling. The question is there enough buyers? Is there enough buyers to overpower it or not? It might be a bit dangerous to buy here right now, seeing as the sellers are still selling. We got 7 minutes till the top of the hour. Somewhat weak breakdown. I still don't know if I trust it to actually bounce though. It's a bit of a hard one to judge. Seeing a very weak breakdown after seeing intense selling pressure can be mixed signals. It could be just a temporary pause. It's kind of hard to assess that one. We have CREV popping up a bit. No news though. Volume's somewhat light. Probably not interested in that one. Yeah, VICG completely rolled over at this point. It's near its first pullback area. Yeah, this feels like chaos. I can't really get a good read. It's just chaos, actually. I mean, that's the read. The read is that it's chaotic. There's a bunch of noise, a bunch of uncertainty here. I suppose, if anything, it could be worth noting that the intense selling pressure ended here, and then when an attempted breakdown happened, we saw this volume come in. So maybe there's a buyer at 9? Not the most clean setup that I would have wanted to see, though. Yeah, so we went from 980 all the way down to 880, 895, and then slingshotted all the way back. So yeah, this is quite volatile. A lot of indecision. I mean, you even look at the 5-minute chart, you can see that, right? Double dojis on 5-minute time frames. Very, very high indecision. Yeah, I think I'm just waiting for the top of the hour here, because this looks too unclear for me. I mean, if it breaks out, like if it breaks 1050, this could move a lot, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see something like 12 or maybe even 13. It's not super unrealistic. The problem is this heavy selling pressure. It's really difficult for me to judge. I feel like anything can happen really with it. I got my hand out the keyboard. I'm just gonna watch. If this thing breaks, then I'll just see what it does. But I don't think I'm gonna jump in here. Jumping in at 1036 feels like a 50-50, really. And I'm not really interested in taking that kind of a setup. At least on the daily. You also had this support around 960, 950. Kind of had it hold here, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, we're about to hit the top of the hour. We'll see if anything comes out, and hopefully we get something else to come after here. I've been trying to reduce size today because of yesterday, and I just haven't really seen any clean setups yet. Like, Xena looked like it could have done something, but it didn't follow through the way I wanted it to, so I had to cut the trade for a small winner. All right, we definitely have this wedge pattern forming, but oh, this thing, man, this thing's gonna explode in one direction or the other. I can feel it. ZENA is breaking out again. I don't know if I want to get involved with that, though. I'll take a look at it. All right, so we had it slowly curling back up, and now we're seeing volume come back. Right, this is still the critical level to watch. All right, we had continued high volume on the next candle. Interesting, it was at the top of the hour, too. Timing is a bit weird. Okay, we have Turb moving. So, 11 million. No news, though. No news is a bit sketchy. This says American Depository Shares. It's probably a foreign company. Is it Chinese? No. It doesn't really say here. Yeah, Umbrella Solar Corp. That's its parent company. But yeah, I see no news on it, so don't really want to get involved with that. ENGN continuing to pull back here. So we had high volume here, and now we're seeing it break down a bit. This might roll over. We'll see. Xena did make that push toward that high, but then it also rolled over. Well, it hasn't rolled over yet, but it rejected this level. TRB did recover. Very choppy, though. The range of these candles is quite big. We have a similar setup to VCIG, though. Massive pump followed by sell-off for a long time. Or not VCIG, GLTO. So, highest volume on this red candle. Not really what you want to see. 500,000 too, that's not insignificant. Okay, so there was news on it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, why? So, it seems like Thinkorswim reports these catalysts late for some reason. Sometimes. I've noted this isn't the first time it's done it, but usually they're on top of it with reporting this stuff. I remember a couple days ago something similar happened. I said there was no catalyst, it wasn't showing up, and it populated later, right? Because this came out, right, clearly right at 8 o'clock the news came out, but this wasn't reported by Thinkorswim until 8:04. And this sucks because unless I'm like constantly rechecking the news, then if it's just a late report, then I don't know. And I assume this entire move was on no news, and that makes me biased against it. Yeah, because there's news at least, that gives me a little more conviction in anything this does. Still don't like that this was the highest volume candle, but interesting that it recovered on similar volume. Right, this is similar to GLTO. The only problem, like, it's very similar just in terms of how the stock performed. No, I mean, I still agree with my assessment that it's choppy. But because now I know there's actually a catalyst behind it, I'm less inclined to think this is just some pump and dump. It could be just a short squeeze, but at least there's a reason behind the short squeeze triggering. At least that's how I'm thinking about it. I don't like how we've seen these high red candles. This does feel very choppy. Just watching how it reacts at 340 here. Seems like it's kind of struggling to get over it. Curious if there was a seller at 340. Low volume on this pullback though. This is just Thinkorswim's platform. I think it's Bazinga. I'm not 100%. Usually they're pretty good with this stuff. I just feel like lately I've seen a couple times where they've missed, or rather they just haven't reported right away. So choppy. CENA does seem to have rebroken down. ENCN, or ENGN, still holding up pretty well. It's really trying to hold that $10 level, or around 10. I might be a buyer of this if we can get down to around like 295. I'm actually going to go a bit more conservative with my entry, just because this thing seems like it can whiplash a lot. Higher volume here. ENGN, we are seeing the breakout. The volume isn't quite as crazy high as I would have wanted it to be, though. At least on the initial break. struggling a bit to really pull away here. Right, compared to this move where it was straight up, even though it made this new high, it's really struggling to move forward. I know it's only been 2 minutes, but I really thought this kind of clean break would have given better resolution. Maybe there was just more selling here. It's hard to say. Take a try here. Only 1/4 size though. Yeah, I mean, this volume isn't terrible, but I mean, it's just completely rejected here. I'm gonna cut it if I can. There we go. Yeah, that's... I mean, it just completely rejected here. I saw it hesitating here, and I thought it might have curled back up. But yeah, it was just gradual selling, and then this sudden sweep here. Maybe I don't know. It's hard. So I expected this to resolve better because this was such a clean break. The volume was good, but it actually wasn't as amazing as I thought it would be. It struggled for 2 minutes before pulling back. Maybe I should have perceived this weakness. I don't know, but I did buy on weakness here, or on strength here, because it looked like the selling pressure was struggling here. Not really sure. TURB is curling back, but it's still quite choppy. Hmm. Yeah, anyone who bought at the top here is just underwater if they're still holding. I mean, I still wouldn't call this out of play, because I mean, it's holding it super close to the top. But it's frustrating to see this clean break and just no clear resolution. Goes up like 40, 50 cents, then just dies. Alright, we'll see. We haven't had a clean 1 minute candle yet. Looks like this might be the first actual 1 minute candle. Every single one of these candles, well, I mean, anytime there's range, there's like just upper and lower wicks. Still feel like this has some potential, or just because we know now it did have a catalyst. The setup is very reminiscent of the short squeeze play on GLTO. All these candles have been higher volume than this range here. Okay, I'm taking a half-size starter here. I want to see if this can curl back and break this level. This broke down, but it was on lower volume. ENGN pulling back a bit more. It's getting closer to 9 now. Add here. I'm not going to add any more to this. We're getting a bit of a curl. Some volume, but it's really struggling at 350. Another push for 350. Another push for 350. I'm gonna try and sell half here at 349. Okay, so we're out half. I really wanted to see this go back up and retest high of day, but seeing it test for 350 4 times, I gotta take half off. We'll wait for the break of 350 and see if we can get momentum to around 370. It's really struggling at that 350. There's definitely someone trying to sell there. Within a flash, at the very last half second of that candle, drop down straight to 330. So we had it pop to 352 for just a second. All right, minute 6 of testing 350. Okay. Nice. All right. Actually had a base hit today. Let's go. It sucks I took half off the table, but I mean, after tested 350 for like 3 minutes, I felt like I had to reduce exposure. What a crazy slingshot. Oh yeah, because I sold half at 350, that's right. Should be around that. It's like ballpark. We're seeing high volume on this continue. Mostly waiting right now to see if any news catalysts come out. Don't see any catalysts yet. Let's see if anything comes or not. Nice 1 minute high on this. I didn't really know if I could trust it because these candles were a bit higher volume than I would have liked. Hmm. Again, we're seeing very high volume on the red candles. I mean, it resolved this first leg, so I can't really say that the high volume red is bad necessarily. I'm not really sure how much I trust it to hold up around here, though. Yeah. This isn't a terrible bounce spot, but I would like to see more. Very high red candle. What the heck, dude? That's a crazy flush. $4 almost down to $3. Yeah, I just do raw price action. I'm gonna cut it here. It looks like it's struggling at 27, 28. Yeah. I did not expect this heavy of a flush. This is... What an insane flush. I mean, even just looking at it on what it's done here, this is kind of a crazy move. What did I lose on that? My average was like... My average was 32. And I sold at 25. So 8-cent loss. That's not terrible. Considering this thing flushed almost $1. And that it didn't really bounce. Because I was trying to hold for the bounce attempt, but it looked like at 328 or so, there was some kind of seller holding it there. I gave it like a minute, and it just wasn't breaking it. I'm still kind of shocked that it did that much of a flush. If there's anyone who was trying to hold up here for this first candle and then the second candle curl, they just got completely smoked on this. Okay, we have QNRX. Oh, okay, so this could be a good contender here. So the actual float's quite low on this. Going to 1/4 size. Similar setup to GLTO. We had a historic spike a couple weeks ago. It sold off. Do have news. This thing is extremely whiplashy though, moving $1 several times a minute. Bit concerned to jump on here because of this candle. I'm still having PTSD from move yesterday. ALUR is also moving on news, it looks like. Passes some critical milestone. Okay, their catalyst is something about going debt-free. Or some agreement to go debt-free. Okay, so private placement, that's just their fancy way of saying private placement. This catalyst hasn't worked well recently. QNRX does look like it's breaking down. Or at least the pullback has been pretty strong. $365,000, that's decent volume. Not crazy high, but it's decent. QNRX continuing to bleed off here. ALUR looks like it completely rolled over. So the private placement play doesn't look like it worked too well here. It did a private placement last month too. Yeah, so Turb continued selling off. So I had identified there was what looked like a hidden seller at 328. So even though this looked like a great bounce opportunity, like my entry wasn't terrible, but seeing that it looked like there was a seller here, I had to bail. And it looks like there was a seller. So even though it feels bad selling when it's down that much, I think it was the right call. ENGN is starting to curl slightly. This has made a nice recovery, but I'm still iffy on it. I don't see anything super clear. You could argue we could attempt a 5-minute high. And we are still seeing some volume. Right, the fact this didn't roll over immediately is nice. But it also feels like this isn't the greatest thing we would want to see for a stock to hold up. Reduce this further. Kind of crazy small size, but this thing has shown it can move over $1 a minute. Right, like on this candle, it moved from $13.79 to $12.70. All right, we're seeing a bit of a curl on the 5-minute. And just a slow climb up. I find it a bit scary to just jump on here, though. So we had the 5-minute high. I'm seeing some volume coming in. Double top at around 14. So we saw 14 break and then just an immediate reverse flush. Okay, very small size for me in here. Keeps buying at the higher end on the ask, but it seems like someone is sitting there too. Because even though people keep buying, it's not going up. Maybe there was a hidden seller here. It's testing it again. We gotta try and get out. Yeah. I tried giving it time. It seems around 12:30, 12:40. It was really struggling to break through for some reason. I mean, it can't always break. This is a lower float. But there was definitely someone sitting here holding this down. I could have tried a similar play that I did on Turb, selling some and keeping the other, but the position was already so small. If I was really going to try and capture profit, I really needed to try and hold through for this pop, but the odds of this reversing I just thought were too high. Shares. All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm probably going to wrap it up here. Small green day. This is more of me just trying to minimize risk right now after yesterday. So, yeah. At least I'm green today. Slow bit of recovery here. I'll definitely keep an eye on how this stock performs for tomorrow. But, yeah, if you're still trading, stay safe out there.